All right. I want to give a kind of multi-dimensional answer to your question. So, first of all, let us ask the question, is aging a disease? Lots of people like to say that I think that aging is a disease. In other words, they like to say that I think that the definition of the word disease should be broadened to include aging. And that annoys me quite a lot, because what I actually say is the exact opposite. I say that the definition of the word disease should be narrowed so that it does not include things like Alzheimer's or atherosclerosis or most cancers, things that are the age-related so-called diseases. So the reason I say that explains the second dimension of my answer to your question, namely the question of whether aging is a medical problem. This biologically unjustified classification of things like Alzheimer's as diseases is what allows people to think of other aspects of aging, like, frailty, as kind of off limits to medicine, when in fact they are just as much medical problems as Alzheimer's is. So that brings me to the final dimension of the question, which is perhaps what you were really getting at, the regulatory aspect. Now that is an area which finally is going away, especially in the USA, which is the country that matters the most simply because it is the biggest market and therefore the biggest determinant of incentives for big pharma. So the huge, huge advance that happened about 2.5 years ago was that a clinical trial was approved by the FDA to study aging. Now, they didn't use the word aging, but it was still aging because the clinical trial was defined in this very complicated combinatorial way that meant it was aging in all but name. Now, that trial hasn't even been funded yet, but that's fine, because what matters is the definition of the trial, not the result. There was also another huge thing that happened less than 1 year ago, which was that aging was included in the new version of the ICD, the International Catalogue of Disease. And they did it very sensibly, very cleverly. They did not include aging as a new category. Rather, they included it as what's called an extension code, a qualifier of categories. So in summary, it's a huge problem, but I think it's mostly gone away now.